Shilpa Mehta, please introduce yourself fully. Tell us about your work and where you're telling from, and please tell us a story.
Thank you, Eric. I'm Shilpa Mehta from Jaipur, an educator, an author who has written academic books, freelance editor and a translator by profession, and a storyteller by passion. I've tried my hand at writing fiction stories, and my stories have found their way in a few anthologies, both in English and in Hindi. Well, mythological retelling is a genre which has always piqued my interest. I'm sure many of you must have heard of the Hindu epic Mahabharata, one of the two epic poems of ancient India. This epic mainly deals with the conflict between the rival brothers Kauravas and Pandavas, with many digressions, including the Bhagavad Gita. But do you know that there are many lessons on various aspects of life to learn from Mahabharata and apply, which can help you transform your life if you understand the essence of it? I found that the beauty of the epic lies in its interpretations, each more interesting than the other, allowing us to see a reflection of our lives in the lives of its characters, who face the same dilemmas which we face in our day-to-day lives. The circumstances narrated in it often find resonance with our own lives in one way or the other. If, for a moment, one keeps the holiness of this epic and its characters aside and reviews it as a gripping tale of human drama only, then Mahabharata could be savored as a delightful collation of some truly intense and memorable events on either side of right and wrong, about justice, about the importance of relations in one's life, and how bad things can get when we lose control of our mind. There are many lessons one can learn from Mahabharata. Some incidents would make you introspect. Some will help you understand human behavior. Some lessons would relate to you. Some might make you wonder. I find this epic full of knowledge and surprises, a whole lot of teaching and life lessons which are most prevalent in today's world. You might find answers to your problems here and can adopt these life lessons from the characters who are in doubt and ambiguities of how to take a situation further, their ideals, actions and circumstances they went through so as to make oneself a better version of what they are now, because these are the things that we all live with all the time. That's what makes the Mahabharata so endearing. There are many caveats of Mahabharata which are very interesting and can provide deep insights that can change the way you think and perceive things that you would usually not. It's a sort of an eye-opener, something that makes you open your mind. That is why I think it always makes for a great retelling. And since I am from business management background and also an academic, I tend to see these things from management perspective, and I quite often use storytelling as a tool to engage my students, both at graduate and postgraduate level. Today, I'll talk about an incident from this epic with my sprinklers of wisdom and my learnings at various points. So to begin with, I feel that Krishna is undoubtedly a very smart strategist of Mahabharata. In the battle, Krishna strategically headed Pandava's division of the army in such a way that they fight against the Kauravas' army to win, though the army of Pandavas was smaller than Kauravas. It was Krishna who kept on motivating Arjuna to lead and fight against Kauravas. Krishna has vowed never to take up weapons himself, and yet the very fact of his being on the side of the Pandavas ensures that the victory is theirs and that their lives are safe too. An important lesson that can be learned here is that it doesn't matter how many friends you have, how many team members you have, What matters is the quality of friends and the dedication of your team. The strategies which Krishna has used in favor of Pandavas are remarkable and insightful. And Pandavas won the battle probably because Krishna was by their side. So you see, a good strategy is what you need to sail your boat. If Pandavas didn't have Krishna and his master plan, they wouldn't have witnessed the victory they did. So always have a plan. Though Krishna did not pick up weapons, he did know the strengths and weaknesses of not only the Pandavas, but also Kauravas. Similarly, we also need to seek mentors who can help us, make us believe in ourselves, and mold us for better from their experience and words of wisdom. Krishna was a trusted friend and a guide to Arjuna. In the battlefield, Arjuna has a realization that he is fighting against his own uncles, cousins, and teacher, people who he admired, loved, and respected. Although they were on the wrong side of things, he feels despondent. Friends, I think we all have undergone this battle inside the heart while we deal with the personal and other problems of life. Isn't it? To this, Krishna says that nothing is completely wrong or completely right. It is all relative. He says that this is a righteous war fought for dharma. Again, it can be applied in today's world that we should object the wrongdoers and fight against them, even if they are our own and we might end up losing them forever. We should never feel bad by standing up for the right. Krishna has a long heart-to-heart conversation in Mahabharata with Arjuna when Arjuna is at his weakest state emotionally and was consumed with self-doubt at the battlefield. Krishna persuaded him back to do his duty. This conversation act of persuasion took the shape of Bhagavad Gita. These nuggets of wisdom make the Gita so relatable, universal, and I would say also a calming, counseling experience. And so we are all richer today, thanks to Arjuna's choice. I am narrating an incident when the battle of Kurukshetra was at its zenith. The two greatest warriors of that time, Arjuna and Karna, were fiercely fighting with each other. It was an epic battle to witness. Their duel began with a flurry of arrows being exchanged rapidly from the quiver of unparalleled warriors. They started with the ordinary arrows and then warmed up to the use of divine astras. It is said that gods too were witnessing this epic battle between the two great warriors. Arjuna would shoot his arrows, and the impact of these arrows was so intense that Karna's chariot would go back, let's say almost by 20-25 feet. People who witnessed this were amazed by skills of Arjuna. Karna was no less. When he shot arrows, Arjuna's chariot would also shake and would go back by 3 to 4 feet. More than anyone else, Krishna would applaud every time Arjuna's chariot used to sway. They used astras of Agni, Varun, Indra, and in turn neutralized the astras of each other. Now Karna sent a terrible astra, which was a special gift of his guru Parshuram, called Bhagavastra. This astra was more powerful than all the astras used so far by them. The army of Pandavas was much harassed by this astra. Bhim was furious. He told Arjuna to put an end to Karna, otherwise he would kill him with his mace. Krishna asked Arjuna to go all out, otherwise it would not be easy to kill Karna. Arjuna invoked Brahmastra. Great upheavals took place in all the directions. It cleared the cloud of arrows created by Karna. Now Karna sent another deadly astra. The astra illuminated the entire field. It went like lightning. Everyone was watching with bated breath. Even Devas like Surya and Indra had been watching the duel between the two. Karna aims the dangerous Bhagavastra at Arjuna. If it were to hit Arjuna, then death will be certain. So Krishna, who is Arjuna's charioteer, did an unusual thing. He pressed the chariot down with his toe, and the chariot goes down a few inches. The result? The astra aimed at Arjuna's neck knocks just his headgear. Nothing more serious happens. So Krishna's timely interference saves Arjuna's life. The Pandavas could breathe easier after they saw that Arjuna escaped from the dreadful Bhagavastra. When Krishna presses down the chariot, it gets stuck in the mud. Krishna goes down on his knees, puts his shoulder to the wheel, and lifts the chariot. On the other side, there was no powerful astra in Karna's arsenal, but he continued his fighting. Arjuna sent deadly astras. Now, the fate started its work against Karna. The three curses of Karna began. Karna was finding it difficult to remember incantations to evoke appropriate astras to make these ineffective. The earth became soft all of a sudden, and the wheels of Karna's chariot went deep into the ground. The protractors of his wheels had run away. When the axle in one of the wheels in Karna's chariot breaks, Karna asks his charioteer Salya to fix it. Salya says he is of a royal family and will not take orders from Karna. Karna pleaded with Arjuna that he could give him time to retrieve the wheels of his chariot. That was the rule of the righteous war. Hearing this, Krishna laughed and said that the talk of righteousness does not behove him. He, who had been the part of evil Duryodhana's all sinful schemes, who never protested against the insulting treatment given to Draupadi in their court, rather was a party to aggravate it by his insulting remarks. How could he forget the recent killing of Abhimanyu? Was it righteous? And he was talking of righteousness. Krishna's words hurt Karna deeply, but he knew the words of Krishna were true. Again, some wise thoughts to be poured in. Everybody has challenges in life to face. Life is not fair and easy on anybody, but what is right is known to your mind. No matter how much unfairness we got, how many times we were disgraced, how many times we fall, what is important is how you reacted at that point of time. Life's unfairness does not give you the license to walk the wrong path. We should always remember, life may be tough at a few points, but destiny is not created by the shoes we wear, but by the steps we take. Yet, Karna went to retrieve the wheels of his chariot from the ground. Arjuna's arrows rained incessantly. Still, Karna could not be hurt seriously. Krishna prompted Arjuna to make haste. Karna should be killed without any loss of time. Though Arjuna objected to Krishna's stand, Krishna convinced him that it would be no sin to kill a man who has stood by evil all through his life. Friend, standing against wrongdoers is necessary. This is applicable in all the areas of life. Arjuna sent an arrow which was like Vajra, the weapon of Indra. It cut the head of Karna. Now, before I proceed, let me quickly tell you about the three curses of Karna which led to his fate in the battleground. The first one is, Karna once helped a little girl who had spilt milk on the ground and feared retribution from her mother. A kind Karna helped the girl retrieve the milk by squeezing and twisting the ground. In essence, Mother Earth herself. So unbearable was the pain that Mother Earth cursed Karna that she would be of no assistance to him whatsoever and will even try to make him vulnerable in the battlefield. This resulted in the untimely incident of Karna's chariot wheel getting stuck in the mud. On the final day of lessons from Parshuram, Karna unflinchingly bears a scorpion bite when Parshurama is resting upon his lap. A bewildered Parshurama realizes that Karna can be none but a warrior, an upper class, although Karna was known as a Surputra, a lower class, and curses Karna that he will forget the knowledge of weapons, especially the Bhagavastra, when he needs them the most. This curse came into effect when Karna forgot the mantra to invoke the Bhagavastra while fighting against Arjuna in the last day of the battlefield. And the last curse came when Karna, once when practicing the Shadbhedi arrow, mistook a cow for a wild animal and shoots it down. The Brahmin to whom the cow belonged is distraught. He curses Karna that he will be killed by his enemy when his attention is diverted in the middle of a combat. This curse materializes when Karna is busy retrieving his chariot wheel from the mud and is shot by Arjuna on the advice of Krishna. After the war was over, Krishna realized that the mission of this chariot was accomplished and he took it to a deserted place. Here, Arjuna asked, "Oh Lord, I have shot so many arrows at Karna's chariot. It was being displaced like a feather in the wind, but not once did you appreciate me. Rather, you would appreciate Karna's skill despite his arrows just displacing my chariot a little. Why were you admiring Karna, knowing pretty well that he's not our ally, and never once did you applaud my skills?" Krishna smiled and replied, "Arjuna, though on the path of adharma, Karna was a man of noble qualities that others don't have and did many charities. He believed he owes nothing to himself, and it is more important to give others what they do not possess. Something that can be learned here is that it is important to give than to receive. I don't support him, but that doesn't mean that I should be blind to his virtues. Remember, your chariot is protected by Hanuman at the top. You have me as your charioteer in the front, and you have Sheshnag at its wheels. Yet, the whole chariot would still sway and get displaced whenever the valiant Karna hit us with his arrows. But Karna's chariot was not protected by any such force. He was on his own, yet he was fighting valiantly. Doesn't it sound good to ears when someone praises us? Of course it does. Never envy someone who's better than you, but learn to respect everyone." Then he asked Arjuna to get down the chariot. Initially, Arjuna was not ready to get down the chariot because he thought that the charioteer should first leave. But after protesting and pleading for a long time, on much insistence from Krishna, Arjuna finally relented unwillingly, swallowing his pride and disembarked. After this, Krishna abandoned the reins of the steeds and dismounted himself from the chariot as well. When he had dismounted from the chariot, Hanuman, that topped the mantle of the chariot, disappeared then and there. At this point of time, something unexpected happened. The top of the chariot, which had been burnt by Drona and Karna with their celestial weapons, the chariot with its quick pair of steeds, yoke and shaft, fell down and went up in flames and was reduced to ashes. Arjuna was thrown a few yards away. Slowly, he got up. He was astonished. "Krishna, what is this? What's happening here? Why has the chariot gone up in flame?" Arjuna asked. Krishna said, "Arjuna, you have been thinking so far that you won the battle out of your own prowess, vigor, and valor. It is not correct. Your chariot had already been burnt away with all the power of Astras and Shastras drawn by Karna. As I was driving your chariot and Hanuman was viewing the battle from the top of the chariot, your chariot was intact. Otherwise, it would have been burnt long back. Never in your life have the arrogance to say that you have achieved great heights. If you have achieved something, it is due to the divine will. It's God's grace and benevolence that protects us from many pitfalls and dangers in lives, our lives and situations, whether they are good, bad, horrible, or possible. All of them happen with Him as an upholder. Oh no, Arjun bowed down his head. Krishna said, if I had got down before you, imagine what would have happened to you. Arjuna said with folded hands, I will set aside my ego, Lord. I now understand the great quality of Karna. Krishna said, Karna was a man of great strength. He was a true Kshatriya and the height of magnanimity. No one can match him in his qualities or in might. Krishna showed Arjuna that every act and word of Lord has a significance and purpose which none can gauge. Another suggestive advice here, egoism is a tough enemy and it requires constant vigilance to conquer it. This incident highlights that your success is a result of not only your efforts, it is a combination of several other factors and support systems. I hope from now on, you will not take the credit of all your success. So this was my perspective on a particular incident from the epic through which I tried to sprinkle some drops of wisdom. Friends, though this epic is thousands of years old, but I think it states the same message which is relevant even today. It is a story which has everything that's happening in the current world. We are seeing the devastation around us as we have started taking nature for granted. All of us are heading to the very same doom because of our actions. Earth has started rebelling, just like it had cursed Karna, and indicating that we have exploited it to the brim. It is time we realize that our actions will have dire consequences. If we do not take requisite measures now, the future of our race seems bleak. Hence, a consolidated effort on our part is required to work towards a better world. I hope today I must have evoked some interest to pick up this treasure trove of wisdom to acquire lessons for all walks of life. That's all from my side today. I was delighted to be here with all of you today. Thank you, Eric.
Thank you very much. Well, the type of storytelling you just did is very different from most of the storytelling that goes on here, in the sense of, well, the first half of your presentation, really you were giving a talk, and you were illustrating your talk with some story examples. And that's a very important and popular practice. Many times in my storytelling workshops, people come and ask, how can I give a talk with illustrations of stories? And with your permission, I'll show them your recording.
Yeah, definitely.
But, so the first half, I would not call that storytelling. I would call that a discourse, similar almost to some of the religious discourses that are done. Although it's wonderful that you did it in English, that we could really, those of us who are limited to English, we could really get it. Now the second half, let me just finish and then you.
Yes, sorry.
Yeah, the second half, you did tell a story, but it was a number of times you came in and explained what it meant or what you felt it meant. So it was really, see, the way I've been trained in storytelling is that, especially with traditional stories, we just tell the story and let it speak for itself.
Okay.
and let the listeners formulate their own meaning. It's a different type of storytelling. So the way I was trained, I was not allowed to give any
Okay.
commentary.
Okay.
And if there was commentary, it would come out after the story was told, when I, the teller, and the listeners, we could all give our commentaries. But you told it in such a way that the commentaries were mixed in. Again, it's a very traditional, a very Indian way of telling stories, but different from much of the storytelling here. So I want to, congratulate you on giving an excellent talk and telling a wonderful story with your meanings. But I want to point out that these are two very different styles than usual. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you for your guidance and your opinion. I'll take care of it. Actually, this was a small incident, and I actually initially had thought that first I would narrate the incident and then I would give my opinion. But then I thought that people might forget, so I was chipping in my perspective after each and every important point, whatever I felt that where something, or that was like my perspective, which I was telling, which I was sharing. So people can have different perspective, but that was basically my learnings, my thoughts.
Wonderful. Anyone else? Any thoughts? Does everyone see what I'm talking about? The first half was a talk that was illustrated by story. The second part was a story that was supported by a lot of commentary.
Yeah.
Does anyone have any questions, comments, thoughts? I appreciated listening because you are obviously so knowledgeable and so steeped in the tradition that you could give these talks in a very in such a comfortable, natural way. It was obviously, it's all second nature to you. Because you've been living with these stories so long, and you've been thinking about so long what they mean to you.
Thank you.
Gustavo.
Yeah.
Gustav.
As a non, my knowledge of Indian, of all the mythology is very let's say limited, and the sense that first moment I knew the Mahabharata was through some videos I saw Peter Brooks many years ago. He put this theater, and the importance that this myth and all its people and all its the different tribes, different people that go in there, so rich. So in that sense, I appreciate your telling. But yes, it was a talk, and a very good structural talk divided into two parts. That's true. Thank you.
I'm just looking at what Indira you've written. What started as a discourse took a beautiful turn and was made interesting by giving out the messages relevant to us today. Yes, very much so. But the thing is that that story you told, there are many layers to it. There are many meanings of it. So, some people who hear it, or some people who've been thinking about that story for 10, 20, 30 years, they have totally different lessons involved. They're lessons in mind.
Yeah.
So, we don't want to invalidate their thinking. That's why it's so good to have a discussion afterwards. Okay, I think maybe we should proceed to the next telling. So thank you very much. And here we go.